This is the last week of our Creatures of Fantasy series. This week, we're looking at the Undead. This harem urban fantasy musical is a lot. Though the anime released in the fall of 2015, the single volume manga came out just a month before it in the Shounen magazine GFantasy, with the very blatant character archetypes but darker. You would think the anime and manga came after the game a la Dramatical Murder, but nope. Densu Devils, the game, came out in spring of 2016, which means there was no reason why it had such a terrible main character. Not only is there barely anything notable about her, but the harem that grows around her is entirely unjustified. Densu Devils is about a girl whose mother is abducted. As she searches for her, she discovers that her family was involved in the occult, and specifically a grimoire. The very first song gives away what seems to be the greatest mystery for the main character, and makes everything else a little underwhelming. The people who are trying to find the grimoire try to seduce her to get it, but how is that their only plan? Even the abduction is not used to this effect. Just why? I watched it all in one sitting, but only out of mild curiosity. The songs were alright. The animation by Brains Base was fine. The plot actually ends in the 12-episode season, though there was a 2017 movie, Densu Devils Fortuna. It's not really worth watching, but if you want a musical or like harem animes, give it a try, I guess. I don't know what pushed me to read the entirety of this manga back when it was running in 2009 to 2014. Maybe it was the dark themes of escapism, control, abandonment, and death. But looking at it recently, it's underwhelming and problematic. It might be the nostalgia setting me up for failure, but this shonen written by Mitsuru Hattori is a bit meh. This rom-com sci-fi manga and 2012 anime by Studio Deen follows Chihiro Fuya, a zombie fan who meets a zombie girl, Sanka Rea, and their lives as she evades her abusive family. Neither the romance nor the humor did it for me as much as the zombie lore. The anime is 12 episodes long and has 3 OVAs and a novel called All Night Rea Long, written by Ryo Suzukaze and illustrated by Mitsuru Hattori. In the end, I don't need 11 volumes of ecchi with literal underage children. This urban fantasy is mildly erotic, so no kiddies here. This 2013 to 2018 manga is about Tsukasa Taira, a human girl who falls prey to a vampire and so comes into contact with Anzai, a vampire who hunts down other vampires. They become infatuated, but their modern-day world does not welcome vampires or any relationship with them. The 12-episode anime and 1 OVA were adapted by Studio Platinum Vision and generally had a reasonable ending, considering the topic. The main character was a little too flat and kind of pointless since she is hardly the main character. The story is actually about Anzai. But it needs to be said, this is not necessarily a romance, and the creep vibes are probably on purpose. This seinen, originally by Ryo Hanada, is more about struggling with impulses, self-control, and addiction, and the age-old dilemma of nurture versus nature. My anime list rating of 6.79 seems apt. This is not practical or even suitable for those dealing with depression, schizophrenia, or any other mental illness with similar symptoms. And when a review is prefaced by this. Zombie Maria is a 2016 one-shot by Nakayama Atsushi. This 45-page seinen is about atonement and death. The main character is struggling with suicidal tendencies, and that is not handled well. The plot is rushed, and the plot twist at the end was a little too obvious. Still, the art style makes me want to read more Nakayama's work. It's perfect for the lighthearted nature of the manga, which what is it with manga and incest? Yeah, there's some incest in this dark fantasy written by Matsuri Hino. 19 volumes, from 2004 to 2013 to be exact. because 2 points of the romantic triangle are related by blood, while the last point is an adopted brother. Why am I even talking about this? Vampire Knight is about Yuki Cross, a guard and student at Cross Academy, a high school that holds classes for vampires. These vampires are trying to prove that they can live alongside humans, except they need to be guarded because they can't be trusted. The anime doesn't quite follow the manga and definitely does a disservice to the characterization the manga is known for. However, its plot makes sense by itself and the flashbacks are exemplary. Basically, the anime, minus the incest, is actually really good. The only other problems are the main character, the art style that's a little off-putting, and the world-building issues. Despite being a guard, Yuki is weak and always needs to be saved. And why is she even a guard? She's a teenager, but somehow she's expected to stay awake during her day classes and guard at night and keep her grades up? Why not reimagine the character as an adult whose sole job is to hunt vampires? At the end of the day, the heavy themes of suicidal ideation, self-sacrifice, diplomacy, and caste systems were handled fairly well across the franchise, which also includes the 2016 four volumes of Vampire Knight Memories and Vampire Knight and Vampire Knight Guilty, which were both 2008 Studio Deen adaptations totaling 26 episodes. Still, the incest in the anime made me gag so. These were reviews of anime and manga with undead characters, and the last installment of our Creatures of Fantasy series. We would love to hear what you've watched, read, or would like to in the comments. Were handled were handled were handled fairly well across the were he-